DramaCityProductions.com.
You are plugged in for the Podcast Wrestling Society, where you can get dynamic weekly pro wrestling and MMA related content. Give us a follow on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at PODWRES Society so that you can stay in the know.
Space is the place, and the sky's the limit.
And if you like what you hear, give us a 5-star review and hit that subscribe button.
Woo! 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 Woo!
Now, your host, he is the one and only Troy Adams.
Welcome to Wrestling Wednesdays on the Podcast Wrestling Society. We are the most electrifying wrestling and MMA podcast that always asks the question, do you smell what we're cooking? I'm your loving leader, benevolent host, Midwest Monster, and the man that's about to take this podcast to the extreme, Troy Adams. And joining me today, he is the Brian Clark to my Brian Adams, and the only man who's marked out to see Sean Stasiak in a press box at WrestleMania X7. It's Greg. What up, Greg?
What up? What the hell?
It was me, man.
Oh,
Who
man.
didn't mark out for that moment?
I don't know.
I mean, you weren't alone.
You're right. Everybody did. It was the greatest moment in wrestling history. You're right.
Exactly. Sean Stasiak.
That's his WrestleMania moment, you know.
What a moment it was. Yippee-ki-yay. Well, this was the first time I've been able to talk to you, like actually talk to you since you came back from New York, man. What was that like?
New York, the city? No comment. WrestleMania was amazing, though.
So you didn't have fun in NYC?
I don't know. There was something like, it was like a lot more rude this time around, so.
Look, that's every New Yorker's God-given right, Greg. The Ghostbusters movies told us that.
It was, it was so much fun. The event itself was like the best one I've ever been to. NXT was amazing. I mean, hell, NXT, I got a 5+ star from Dave Meltzer, one of the matches. So you know it meant something.
Well, yeah.
I didn't know until you told me. I probably would have never known otherwise. So.
Yeah, Adam Cole versus, Adam Cole Bebe versus Johnny Gargano for the NXT title. 5.5 stars. First time, I think, in history, a WWE match had that.
Then New Japan, man, that show was just epic.
Hell yeah, it was. I mean, you know, when you make Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez and all those marks, like, mark out, you know it was something. So it was good. What did you think of the G1 Supercard?
Just great. I mean, getting to see the Great Muta, I didn't know that was coming. That was amazing.
Yeah.
Me and Ramon, we both like geeked hell hard when Jeff Cobb won the never open weight title.
Oh man, yeah.
We've been watching him for like a year in APW. He walked out with 2 titles, man. That was
a great moment, dude. That match was really good too.
Yeah, we were screaming like schoolgirls, man.
Oh, I bet you screamed like schoolgirls when you saw Enzo and Big Kaz XL.
Well, I think Ramon hates them, so he was booing them. I was like loving it though, but
I will say this, man. Look, they were a cool act. I never hated them as an act, but they're not the greatest in the ring, and I'm wondering, it's like, man, there's going to be a big curve, like talent-wise, when they go to ROH and if they do anything in New Japan. I
think they're just going to be in ROH, though. But
yeah, well, everybody keeps throwing out there like, oh, man, Enzo and Kaz XL coming to the Tokyo Dome.
They really had to reach for those names.
Oh, my God. I can't believe that he went with Kaz XL. You and I, that was a joke. You and I were literally joking about that. We were like, oh, he's going to be William X, because his real name, for those of you that don't know, is William. So we said he was going to be William XL. And by God. Dude, what if he listens to this? I don't know. He might listen to this and get his ideas, man. Enzo too.
How you doing?
I don't think that's the most likely scenario, but we do have listeners in Brooklyn, so you never know. Another thing that happened, that was 2 weekends ago, all that happened. But this past weekend, this past weekend, there was something else in the world of shoot sports, bro.
Bro, this was a shoot. UFC title was on a pole, bro.
You were texting me about it. I saw Twitter blew up about it. I have to watch the replay. What was this fight that everybody's been talking about?
Well, first of all, I thought both title fights were amazing. But the Israel Adesanya fight against Kelvin Gastelum, man, that fight was just epic. Like Kelvin Gastelum would not die. I think he took the first 2 rounds, and then Adesanya just whooped him from there. But it was so good because he just would not die, and Adesanya threw everything at him, and I mean everything.
I was told, I wasn't told. I saw on Twitter some people were calling it one of the greatest fights in UFC history.
It's up there. It's pretty close.
So now I had stuff I was doing that night. I decided not to watch live, but and I never ever go back and watch the replay of UFC stuff, but I think I will with this since everybody's marking out hard about it.
Yeah, the other title fight's really good too. I mean, it's not getting enough credit.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's kind of one of them that's like, I don't know, when you hit, just like wrestling, if there's an undercard match that just like blows you away and the main event's just really good, you're not going to be talking about the main event.
Yeah, but
kind of like WrestleMania. I didn't think the women's match was bad to close out the show, but everybody's talking about Kofi versus Bryan.
Yeah, we were all blowing up though, but yeah.
Well, that brings me to the very last thing I want to talk about before we get into our actual subject at hand, which I alluded to earlier with the intro, is the invasion, which you all voted for on Twitter. Thank you all for that. Thank you for that.
Yes, thank you. I was looking forward to this.
Yeah, definitely. We didn't really stack the deck because I thought Austin's heel turn was a good discussion, but this is good. It's good. But and I don't know. Some people might like the War Games retrospect. I definitely want to do that one of these days, but that'll live to go on another poll. Another poll, bro.
Good God.
But I gotta ask. Supposedly, the ending of that women's match was botched, and the referee got fined for counting Ronda. Do you believe that?
No, because everybody says it went off how it did, so I'm not believing that.
Yeah, because I'm seeing all these quote-unquote news sources, which aren't really news, fake news.
Yeah, because, they were there. Because they were there. They watched on TV, they know.
Yeah, well, supposedly, Ronda's shoulder was up. Dude, that happens all the time. All right? I get it. It was the main event of WrestleMania, but, whatever. It's a work, bro. Don't be a mock. But
bro, it was a work. It's not an effing shoot, bro.
The hell. But yeah, I don't know. It seems far-fetched. And, I mean, they tell these referees what the finish is. So why would this referee let that happen? It doesn't make sense.
I don't believe it. I stopped reading, honestly. I never saw that report because I didn't care. I don't read it. I'm not gonna read their crap anymore.
Man, but yeah, there was that. There was a lot of things that happened. R.D. Evans, who was apparently a writer for WWE, quit during the Hall of Fame ceremony after Bret Hart freaking got attacked. That was weird. And You know, the weird thing is the guy who attacked Brett came up wearing like some Rasta hat and fake dreadlocks. And they dug up this thing from the Simpsons episode that Bret Hart was on, where Bret Hart was yelling at Homer, who was wearing a Rasta hat with fake dreadlocks.
Yeah, and there was like another Rasta guy with fake dreadlocks that like attacked Orton or something a couple of years ago when he was coming out.
Seriously?
Yeah, so everyone's like the same guy. I don't know. I guess it's their way to just disguise himself, I guess.
It's so weird, man. There's this whole thing, and of all people to attack, you attack the 60-some-year-old cancer and stroke survivor who is eulogizing his dead brother-in-law. Like, what?
He said that time was right, apparently.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, like, yeah. Now, the coast is clear now. He got the piss beat out of him, though. Rightfully so. Oddly enough, like, Travis Brown was like one of the first people to jump on that dude.
Yeah, I think it was all downhill from that point.
Yeah, oh yeah. Dude, Travis Brown jumped him. Ronda Rousey jumped him. There were a couple other people. And on his way out, Dash Wilder delivered that uppercut.
Yeah, that one probably dazed him.
Oh, I'm sure. Would you want to get an uppercut from Dash Wilder?
No, I'm good.
Yeah, right. Well, that's that. Before we take our first promo break here, I want to dive into the subject at hand, bro, the invasion. Do you have fond memories of that, or nah?
I went to one show during the invasion. So.
Which one was that?
SummerSlam 2001. Oh, wait, no, I went to two. I went to Raw the next night with the famous milk truck incident.
Oh, the Angle milk truck?
Yeah. Forgot about that one. Yeah. That was in Sacramento, I believe.
Well, there is a lot to dig into here. We're going to try to keep it as short and succinct as possible because there's so much to unpack. But let's try diving into some of it here and talk about our experiences, living through all this. The final night of the Monday Night Wars, which we will get into later, like on a later episode. We'll definitely have to dive into the Monday Night Wars, man. That should be fun. But it was March 26, 2001. Raw's War focused on the major storylines headed into WrestleMania X7, while Nitro held their final episode with a Night of Champions. What did you think of the final episode of Nitro?
I thought it was, hard to watch. If we're judging it based on like just how good it was, it sucked.
Yeah, it was sad.
Nostalgic reasons, I kind of enjoyed it.
Yeah, I don't know. It was. I mean, I'm not saying that like wrestling died that night because obviously it didn't. There's been a lot of great things, especially like '02 was a great year in wrestling, man. In my opinion, but I don't know. Like the Monday Night Wars was a hot time to be a wrestling fan. And
the real Monday Night War with TNA or that fake one with WCW?
Oh, good. I'm gonna punch the hell out of you, man. I'm gonna tell Ramon next time he sees you to kick you in the balls. But nah, man. I grew up watching wrestling during the Monday Night Wars, and that was sad. And I talked to a guy the other day, said after WCW shut down, he said he didn't watch wrestling again for like 3 years. I don't know. It broke a lot of people's hearts, but man,
and WWE gets the blame for it, right? I love that.
WWE didn't shut them down, but they were clearly the superior product at the end. Dude, you and I covered some of the dying days of WCW in the archives. Those were sad shows, man.
Yep.
But
still hard to watch on the network, too.
What was it?
Still hard to watch on the network, too.
Oh, I know. Oh, gosh, I know. But for those of you that don't know, Vince McMahon thought he bought out WCW, and in storyline, Shane McMahon came out on Nitro and said he bought WCW. So it was going to be father versus son. Dude, were you watching live when that happened?
Yeah.
What did you think of all that?
I loved it because it was like, this is great. You know, WCW's going to kind of live. I didn't know in what way.
Right.
You know, I thought something big was going to happen at WrestleMania because this was like the show before WrestleMania, which people tend to forget, by the way. Like, all this happened on the go-home show at WrestleMania. Yeah, so it was fun. Like, you got that, and they're building WrestleMania that night.
Yeah, and this WrestleMania was amazing. A lot of people consider it the greatest WrestleMania of all time. And then you had that right beforehand.
Which, only helped it.
Right. So and think about this. They were able to run a commercial for WrestleMania on Nitro. That's, in and of itself, that's insane. But yeah, at WrestleMania, they didn't do anything, really. But they had
Uncle Dave says through the grapevine that they were going to do something, and Sean Stasiak shut off his mouth about doing it, so they canceled it.
Yeah.
That's what good old Uncle Dave says.
Yeah, the dirt sheet said that, but Bruce Pritchard and you can't always take Bruce Pritchard as gospel. But I buy it because he was saying, he's like, dude, we weren't even thinking about WCW. He's like, we had...
They literally just acquired them, dude.
Yeah.
I mean...
And why would you want to shotgun that? Like...
Well, they didn't do anything, like, truly until around King of the Ring. So...
Right.
They waited 2 months.
Yeah, which
probably not bad.
We could argue about if it was good or not, but that's not the point. It was, at least they waited. I think.
Yeah, I don't think you need to have a quote invasion to help WrestleMania.
Right.
Like if this was happening pre-Backlash or something, yeah. But I don't think the invasion needed to help WrestleMania in any way.
No. Well, plus, the whole thing was when they bought WCW, they didn't acquire everything. They didn't get a lot of the guys.
Well, they didn't acquire the guys that mattered. No disrespect.
The big guys that you were, the big guys.
Good God.
Including one with a weight belt. They were paid to sit at home until their contracts expired. And WWE...
I would have took that offer too.
Yeah, WWF had no desire to pay them out, which I don't blame them at all. They didn't have the money, and even if they did, they didn't care to spend it. It's not like they had competition to worry about. So there you go. And the guys they did pick, or they did, were able to pick up. I mean, look at them up in that press box. You had the aforementioned.
Well, I think there was,
Chuck Palumbo.
Mark Jindrak. I think I saw Chavo up there and Stacy Keibler.
Oh, your favorite, Chavo.
This is going to sound lame, but I'm pretty sure that's your favorite.
Well,
go back and listen to a couple episodes ago. You'll see what I'm talking about.
You made it very clear how much you love Chavo.
Oh, yeah.
On our WrestleMania 20 episode, you clearly really, really like that guy from the words that that you had for him. They just sat there and watched. I don't know why.
I like to watch.
Lord. But I don't know why they were there, but they were there. The WWF had originally, supposedly, planned to have a time slot on TNN and continue running WCW as a separate entity. There were even polls, bro, on WWF.
Got it in there again.
On WWF.com and WCW.com to decide the name of the new show. These plans fell through when no TV station would touch WCW because of its reputation of losing money. Yeah. And the whole reason...
You know, it's funny, though. I think in the end, all they wanted was the library. I really believe that.
Yeah.
Like, that's never been, like, 100% fully said by anybody, but I believe that. They just wanted the library. Because they started releasing DVDs with WCW stuff before, like, SummerSlam, so within a couple of months.
Right.
So it's like, you know.
People have talked about, well, why didn't you buy, you know, the tape library of such and such? And people have said, it's like, dude, that wasn't a thing back in the day. Nobody cared about that. So, I mean, unless you could see into the future, I mean, if you knew that the WWE Network was coming along, which was a pipe dream, you know, years ago, then that wasn't realistic. Nobody gave a damn.
Yeah.
So, and
I did hear Bruce Pritchard say that Vince had the idea for the network since like the early 90s.
Right.
But it was a lot different. It was obviously just a channel. But yeah.
Yeah, and they had that pay-per-view channel. What was it? Classics on Demand?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 24/7.
Yeah, but the percentage of people that probably paid for that were small. But, yeah, this was... We'll get into this, and then we'll take our first break. Just the beginning of the invasion. Yeah, because that was kind of the setup for it. Lance Storm became the first WCW wrestler to appear on WWF programming by performing a run-in during a match on the May 28th episode of Raw is War. Hugh Morris made his WWF debut on the June episode of Raw is War by attacking Edge.
Yeah. So, I love Lance Storm. Hugh Morris is not bad, but, you know, that right there told me, like, these are the two. You know, these are the...
If you're going to fire off the first shot, bro, Lance Storm and Hugh effing Morris.
I need to say this. Lance Storm, in my opinion, is one of the best wrestlers ever. It's not a shot at Storm. It's just, you know, Booker T would have been my first pick, but... You know.
Yeah. Well, and apparently, I mean, if you listen to, like, Pritchard and a few others, they didn't see Booker T as, like, a huge asset at first. I don't know where to go from there.
Well, Russo did, apparently.
Yeah, well, they were getting sued, so he wanted to... He wanted to be like, yo, we're pushing a black guy, bro.
When he won the WCW title, I cried, bro.
Well, we're gonna take our first break real quick. When we come back, we will go into their first pay-per-view appearance. It's King of the Ring, as you said earlier. I'll get into all that when we come back. But I do want to let you know about WrestlingWithWrestling.com. We are keeping up with it now. I'm posting all the latest episodes of the podcast. I'm sorry I've been slacking on the YouTube lately, but go to youtube.com/podcast wrestling society. We try to archive all of our episodes, put clips on there and whatnot. And as I said with this, all the latest episodes will be on WrestlingWithWrestling.com. They also have the latest and greatest news, other great podcasts like Loverboy Matt Riviera's show, the Andre Corbeil show, 205 Jive, the Shane Douglas podcast.
205 Jive's fun.
What?
205 Jive is fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
It actually makes me care about that brand.
Yeah, Jacob Grandi's a cool dude. I've interviewed him before. He's a friend of the show. Great stuff. 205 Live is, you know, trying. And he's trying to try with them. So there's that. And yeah, so tons of cool stuff. Some other stuff in the works, hopefully with us. Again, sorry about the YouTube. I will try to get that updated as soon as possible. Had a lot of personal stuff lately. As you can tell by the quality of the recording here, we're recording a little differently today. Hope you all don't mind, but we're doing our best. We're going to tell you about some other podcasts here on the Drop-In City Productions Podcast Network when we come back, digging in deep to the invasion. How deep are we going to go, Greg?
Oh, yeah.
We'll be right back.
We're going to strike oil, baby.
God. We'll be right back.
Drama City Productions.com.
Sometimes you want to go where nobody knows your name. The Small Town Mentality Podcast with Ben and Austin.
What's up, guys?
Excuse me, it's ma'am. It is ma'am.
It's your host, Ben and Austin, from the Small Town Mentality Podcast.
And if you're some real cool dudes,
Excuse me, it's ma'am. It is ma'am.
Oh, my bad. We got to keep it PC for this promo.
you can follow us on Twitter at STMPod, on Instagram at Small Town Mentality Podcast, and on Facebook at STMPod. You can find us everywhere podcasts are played.
Yep. So if you're some real cool dudes...
Excuse me, it's ma'am. It is ma'am.
My bad, sir. I didn't mean to call you that.
Excuse me, it's ma'am. It is ma'am.
I'll keep that in mind next time we have it up. Come check us out.
Small Town Mentality Podcast.
Excuse me, it's ma'am. It is ma'am.
I didn't even say sir that time.
All right, we're back, and it's time to dive into King of the Ring here and all the crap that followed. And
What do you mean
I
crap?
guess it wasn't all crap.
You watch your language.
Yeah, let's hit it here. King of the Ring, June 24th. Then WCW champion Booker T interfered during the triple threat main event match for the WWF Championship and cost Stone Cold Steve Austin the title. Additionally, Austin...
No, he didn't. He didn't lose the title.
Well, it says almost cost. My bad.
Yeah.
I misread it.
Like,
Well, thank you for that. Additionally, Austin legitimately fractured bones in his hand from the side slam that he took from Booker T into an announce table.
yeah, man.
He took a bookend on it.
For that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Austin said he was so sweaty that when he hit the table, he slid off. So that wasn't Booker's fault, and he said he never blamed Booker for it.
Huh.
So
Guess
yeah.
that's good.
Yeah. I guess the next night on Raw, they were in the Garden in New York City. A confrontation happened between WCW owner Shane McMahon and WWF owner Vince McMahon. While Vince was in the ring, Booker T came from behind to deliver a scissor kick to Vince. The WWF roster ran into the ring to aid Vince, but Booker T and Shane McMahon escaped through the crowd. This incident marked the official start of the invasion storyline. Man, you go from Lance Storm to Booker T, bro.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it should have started with Booker, but whatever.
Yeah, I agree. WCW Tag Champions Chuck Palumbo and Sean O'Haire made their WWF debuts on June 28, 2001 by invading SmackDown. They attacked the Hardys and Dudleys during a tag match before fleeing after WWF wrestlers came after them in the ring. As they were exiting the ring, they were attacked from behind by other WWF wrestlers led by Hardcore Holly. And
Hell yeah.
Oh, man.
What? That's the locker room leader, clearly.
You got 24 hours to learn how to fight! Oh, man. This was... You had Chuck Palumbo and Sean O'Haire. Good
Chuck
stuff, man.
effing Palumbo.
The WWF eventually began to recognize WCW and tested the idea of a brand extension by giving WCW the final 20 minutes of Raw's War with Scott Hudson and Arn Anderson as the announcers in place of Jim Ross and Paul Heyman. Look, I love Arn Anderson, but come on, man.
Yeah, it was pretty brutal listening to him.
And I like me some Scott Hudson, too. But I heard he just kind of came in like shorts and a t-shirt, not giving a crap.
Oh, that was the old Ted Turner style, the wrestling.
Yep. And apparently that really pissed off Vince McMahon. Oh, well. During...
Well, let's be fair. He was never going to get a job there, probably. So.
Yeah, unfortunately. He was good at his job, too. He wasn't quite Tony Schiavone, but I still like Scott Hudson. You know?
Well, careful with both of those opinions.
No, I know. Well, Greg, he was no Mark Madden.
I think that's a good thing.
You think? Yeah, it was definitely a good thing, but yeah. During a match between Buff Bagwell and Booker T for the WCW Championship.
Yeah, you just said those words.
Dude, when the hell did Buff Bagwell ever compete for the ECW title? Or WCW title, excuse me.
I'm sure it was like a 6-way he was in or some point like that.
Yeah.
I could just be fishing too. I don't know.
Dude, and Bruce Pritchard claims that everybody in the back to the man said, oh, well, if you want to have a match that really screams WCW and, you know, is like really, really good for WCW, it's going to be Booker T and Buff Bagwell. I'm like, full crap. Who the hell said those words?
I love both those guys, but no.
Yeah. Like, that was never a match that would have ever happened in WCW except for on a throwaway Nitro. And maybe not even then. But...
well, it depends if Vince Russo was calling the shots.
Yeah. That's very true. But during the match, WWF wrestlers Kurt Angle and WWF champion Stone Cold Steve Austin interfered in retaliation by beating Booker T up, with Bagwell joining Angle and Austin by attacking Booker T. Oy. Guess where they were, too, Greg?
Where?
Where are you going to relaunch Nitro? Is it going to be in Atlanta, where they were, you know, later on, like 2 weeks later? Are you going to launch it or relaunch it in Florida or the Carolinas? No, they were at the Tacoma Dome in Tacoma, Washington.
Well, we all know, like, Tacoma loves the wrestling.
Oh, yeah, they love their WCW wrestling. Like, what the hell? And apparently the match was poorly received. I know, shocker.
I went back and watched it, and yeah, it was...
They chanted, this match sucks. They chanted, boring. And a WWF source close to Vince McMahon said that he absolutely hated the segment. Who would love that? Except for maybe Judy Bagwell.
They had to test it. You know, you gotta give them that. They had to test it.
Yeah, but that wasn't even like a fair field test. Like, mother of God.
What are you talking about? You said it was in Tacoma.
That's 2 kicks in the balls for you. The WCW contingent being abruptly heel was a thing, apparently. One example was the heel gimmick of the WCW Alliance member Diamond Dallas Page. This one...
Why wasn't he in the match with Booker T, by the way?
Well, because, Greg, I don't have an answer.
Reasons. Okay, got it.
Yeah. His first WWF appearance, a lot of initials here, was built up over several weeks in a storyline in which he portrayed an anonymous stalker sending invasive videotapes to then babyface The Undertaker, stalking his wife, Sarah.
Isn't anonymous stalker somewhat redundant?
Well, I mean, some people know who their stalkers are.
Yeah, I guess.
Hey, I have plenty of stalkers. I know who they are. I encourage it. I'm just joking. Calm down, nerds.
I'm not touching that.
Well, you probably shouldn't touch a stalker. Well, never mind. Anyway.
Wow.
I feel that DDP was the biggest flop of the entire invasion.
I don't, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
In order to be a flop, you have to be built up big. I don't know if it's just me, but I never felt this stalker thing.
Well, no, I don't mean like his WWF building fell flat. No, I mean like from what he was when WCW closed to what he became in WWF.
If I remember right, I don't even think he was on the last Nitro.
No, he wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was sad. It was pathetic. And it hurt my heart because I was a huge mark for DDP. So I don't know.
I was just pissed when he didn't have his real music.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, they came out with something awful. I didn't mind the intro.
That's putting it lightly.
Yeah. I didn't mind the intro, but the music they came up for him was... let's just say it wasn't...
Bland.
Yeah, it wasn't one of Jim Johnson's best work. So, it was bad.
No, I think his best work is Rob Conway's theme. But
You just had to slip that in there, so I have to say I have 2 Jax figures of him.
there it is.
Here we go, man. The invasion goes extreme. On the July 9th episode of Raw's War, Kane was scheduled to face Mike Awesome and Lance Storm in a handicap match. I don't know why. Chris Jericho came out and offered to be Kane's partner, thus turning it into a tag match. Tag match, playa! Near the end of the match, Jericho applied the Walls of Jericho on Storm. As the move was being applied, however, Rob Van Dam and Tommy Dreamer ran through the audience and into the ring and started to beat on Kane and Jericho. In response, WWF wrestlers consisting of the Dudley Boys, Taz, Just Incredible, Rhino, and Raven ran into the ring. After a brief standoff, the WWF cavalry turned around and attacked Kane and Jericho. This prompted Paul Heyman to leave the announce table and enter the ring. After high-fiving the wrestlers, he announced that ECW had been brought into the invasion.
I'll tell you this, when Rob Van Dam appeared, I marked so hard.
Did you know Rob Van Dam?
Hell yeah.
Did you watch any ECW?
The last year of it. When it was on TNN.
Yeah, TNN. Yeah. I didn't think their product was super awful then. Their production values went a little
No, I thought it was better late.
Yeah.
But what the ECW marks still value is the early crap, which was just that crap.
And they crap on the later stuff. I like the later stuff.
Well, they crap on the later stuff because it was wrestling.
Well, yeah, can't have that. But Vince and Shane...
Anything with New Jack, they love. Let's put that out there.
Oh, good lord. Vince and Shane conspired to take out ECW. However, Shane turns on his father and joins WCW with ECW, which Paul Heyman announces was bought out by Stephanie McMahon. Yeah, that sucked. That sucked for a couple reasons. One, they turned what could be WWF versus ECW and WCW into a McMahon family feud again. And the second thing is, why the hell did Stephanie McMahon want ECW? The other thing here is, I don't know, I had a third point, and I just, the first 2 points infuriated me so much, I lost my... Oh, why would WCW and ECW join forces when they were, bitter rivals throughout the entire 90s?
Yeah, when they built their cruiserweight division off of ECW.
They stole their world champion.
Yep.
God dang. But no. It's fine.
The thing about Stephanie, and I gotta go back a little bit, is remember Triple H missed the entire invasion because he tore his quadricep.
Yeah.
Which I was at that event, by the way. It was in San Jose. So, is this all they had for? That was...
I guess. Man, can you imagine if Triple H was there, man? He would have been polishing that golden shovel.
Well, he went on to do it to all the WWE guys when he came back, you know.
Which one of you were...
Scott Steiner, Nash.
Yeah, he just lined them up in the back. He was like, all right, which one of you were on the roster beforehand? If not, you're safe.
Lines them up like Negan in The Walking Dead.
He just takes his shovel and points it at him.
Oh, my God.
God. Steiner, get your ass out there. You're going to get Big Papa dumped.
That one I was okay with because he sucked. So, that wasn't really burying. Burying is when it's someone that has potential that could be good. So
Like Goldberg?
yeah, and Booker T.
Yeah.
And even to a degree, Kevin Nash.
You don't talk about Booker T. That still hurts my heart a little bit, what happened to him, but he got it back, I guess, sort of. But
No, he
yeah.
didn't. King Booker got it, but whatever.
Yeah, God, yeah.
When everyone tells me, "Oh, well, Booker T was the first black champion in WWE," I'm like, "No, well, first of all, it's not the WWE title, and second of all, it was King Booker, so no."
Yep, that doesn't count.
It's like in order for you to be champion and be black, you have to have the non-WWE title, and you have to have a stupid ass gimmick.
Yep.
Got it.
Well, hey,
Got it. Locked.
Kofi fills out one of those.
But Kofi has the real title, and Kofi is like different because like they progress now.
I guess so. Like women main eventing WrestleMania, a non-white superstar winning the WWE title. Like, what happened at WrestleMania 35?
The hell froze over, I guess.
I guess so. The WCW/ECW group was eventually renamed the Alliance because...
Yeah, because that's got money written all over it.
Yeah. Well, it's because Vince McMahon found out he didn't really own the trademark for ECW. Oops.
I think they bought it 2 weeks later, right? That's what Pritchard said.
I don't remember, but I know
They
that...
acquired it at some point. They acquired it. Apparently, when Stephanie came out with that beret on with the ECW on the logo, the ECW logo on it, they got in hella trouble.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, but they didn't know because, you know, according to rumor and innuendo, Paul Heyman wasn't exactly forthcoming with what he did and did not own.
I don't believe that.
Yeah, it's shocking. I know.
I don't believe that. You're lying.
Hold on to your pants because, you know, this is what was said. But yeah, on July 12th episode of SmackDown, Vince McMahon and Stone Cold led Team WWF to victory over the Alliance. Austin refused, he asked Stone Cold to lead Team WWF to victory over the Alliance at the Invasion pay-per-view. Austin refused, and later that night, the Alliance beat down Team WWF. The next week, on Raw, Austin is watching from a bar while playing pool. He eventually takes the pool cue with him to the arena. He uses it to help Team WWF in their battle against the Alliance, and he stands tall with them at the end. Swerve, bro!
That was a really good episode of Raw.
It was. I marked hella hard. Especially because Austin had been a heel since, you know, Mania. And now I was like, he's kind of a heel, but not fully because he's on the side of goodness, you know. Well, then something happened, which we'll get to here in a moment. But I guess we should take a break, our final break. Let you know about all the great stuff, other great podcasts at Drama City Productions Podcast Network. If you go to dramacityproductions.com, you can find us and all of our archived episodes, as well as other great podcasts that we'll be telling you about right here. When we come back, we'll finish up the Invasion angle, starting at the Invasion pay-per-view. We'll be right back.
DramaCityProductions.com.
Check out Who's Right with Doug and Anthony. We got it.
This is something I can rally around. You know, because I am anti-dead hooker. I am.
Me too.
If
I like my hookers alive. That sounds weird, doesn't it? If I were to say that word, that would be what our podcast would be known for. We've been doing this for 70 episodes. That'd be it. We are racist, and you would be dragged right down with me.
I would be there fighting the power, man. I would prove the critics wrong and catch the jungle fever.
From that logic, if you follow that out, I can make fun of mentally handicapped people all I want, as long as I don't call them a certain word.
Right.
That's not the.
Oh, not right.
That's not the lesson that I would teach my kids. Just don't make fun of mentally handicapped people.
Check out Who's Right at who'srightpodcast.com.
I'm wrong, you're wrong.
All right, we're back, and it's time for the Invasion pay-per-view. Did you watch this one live?
Yes, I did.
What do you think of it?
I actually thoroughly enjoyed it. I don't know if I'm in the minority on that.
I guess a lot of people liked it, and it did a humongous buy rate. I never watched it. To this day, I don't think I've seen it.
It's really good. You don't know what you're missing.
I know there was a big match between RVD and Jeff Hardy. I got to go back and watch.
Yeah, they had a ladder match at the event I went to. I actually thought the Invasion match was better.
Yeah. Well,
if you haven't seen it, I don't want to spoil it. So.
Yeah. Well, the stage looked really cool. I thought it was in the shape of a V. So like, didn't like Alliance guys come down one side of the V?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the WWF came down the other. That was pretty cool. Kind of like old school TNA, but TNA only had like one ramp, but 2 tunnels.
I remember real quick on that. I remember quite a few wrestlers saying they hated it because one of them, either the heels, one side was the heels, one was the faces. Whoever was on the other side used to get mad about it because they literally had to run around the whole stage to get to that part to come out.
Wow. Sounds like a pain in the ass.
Yep.
Well, the inaugural brawl took place between Team Alliance and Team WWF. Team WWF consisted of Steve Austin, Kurt Angle, Chris Jericho, Kane, and The Undertaker, while squared off against DDP, Booker T, Rhino, and the Dudley Boys. Near the end of the match...
that's funny because only 2 of them came in. The other 3 are already there.
Really? Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah.
I know what you're talking. Yeah. Near the end of the match, all of the wrestlers were outside of the ring except Booker T and Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle applied the ankle lock on Booker T, who tapped out, but no referee was there to witness it. Austin then dragged a referee into the ring, but in a swerve, bro, kicked Kurt Angle in the stomach, hit him with a stunner, and placed Booker T on top of Kurt Angle and told the referee to count. Team WCW/ECW won the match due to Austin's betrayal of the WWF.
I was like, my jaw hit the floor.
That was crazy.
I'm like, wow. Yeah.
That's another one that didn't make any sense. Especially...
It made even less sense than the first one at WrestleMania 17.
Yeah. And this... what made the least sense of all of it was he wore a WCW shirt. He had fought his whole WWF career to shut that company down. I mean, maybe not for that reason, but he was the reason the WWF, him and McMahon, overcame the ratings war. And WCW fired him. It blew my mind.
By mail, I believe, right?
Yeah, FedEx. There you go. And he addressed this the next night on Raw, Austin, that is.
Pronouns, pal.
Yeah, by saying that the Alliance appreciated him. He cited Vince. He said that Vince was hugging Angle and calling The Rock on the phone, so he didn't really appreciate him.
Yeah.
My God.
I think I might skip ahead here, but I love that he said that, and then Vince comes out and starts teasing, I'm going to lift the suspension of a star, I'm going to bring back a star, I'm going to bring back The Rock. I'm like, that would have had a bigger impact if Austin hadn't said his name and Vince was talking to him already. I feel like that promo that Austin did completely ruined that moment. Like, just completely.
Yep. Yeah, this whole thing, I don't even know where to begin with all this crap. Wasn't good. Bad. But I'm trying to figure out, let's see, WWF started gaining momentum back when Angle made Booker T submit with the ankle lock, taking the WCW title away from the Alliance. Angle's title run proved to be short-lived as Booker won it back, on the July 30th episode of Raw. So he held it less than
a couple of days.
Yeah, well, there you go. Good Lord. The Rock later returned from his kayfabe suspension and made it known that he was actually filming the Scorpion King, and made it known that he was fully in with WWF. He returned and led WCW, and his return led to a WCW championship match between The Rock and Booker T at SummerSlam, which The Rock won, making the second time the WCW championship belt changed sides to the WWF.
Yep.
Stone Cold retained the WWF title. Some other big things. Taker and Kane beat DDP and Chris Kanyon in a steel cage match at SummerSlam.
Oh, man, that match was rough.
Was it bad?
Yeah, it was terrible.
I don't remember that one. But they won the WCW titles, and they also had the WWF titles. And X-Pac beat Billy Kidman to become a double champion of the WWF Light Heavyweight title and the WCW Cruiserweight title. Was that any good?
Yeah, that was watchable. I'll put it like that.
I don't know if that's good when you're calling it watchable. I was always a Billy Kidman fan. Well, I can't say always. I liked most of his work.
Good enough.
WWF gained even more momentum at Unforgiven as The Rock retained the WCW title in a handicap match against Booker T and Shane McMahon. Kurt Angle made Austin submit to the ankle lock, winning the WWF title, and they put both of the big belts in the hands of the WWF.
Belts?
Championships, pal. Here's a weird one. WWF Commissioner William Regal eventually turned on Kurt Angle, costing him the WWF title against Steve Austin on an episode of Raw. Linda McMahon then fired Regal, replacing him with Mick Foley, and then Regal became the commissioner of the Alliance.
Yeah, because that makes sense. The invasion from the outside gets a commissioner.
Yeah, why do they need an authority figure?
Kind of negates the whole invasion thing, doesn't it?
Yep. I don't understand. Why do you need an authority figure? You're not even a company. You don't have shows. Like, what is he going to do?
Well, he started putting them all in matches and getting all the titles from the WWE guys. Also, that begs the question, that's what I'm saying. Well, how does he get to pick WWE guys to be in matches? Shouldn't he have only been able to put his guys against one another?
Right, yeah, I did. None of this made sense. Just none of it. At No Mercy, I guess this is better than getting his tea peed in by Chris Jericho. So, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, Chris Jericho peed in William Regal's tea. I think it was before X7, wasn't it?
Yeah, and he drank it. Not making this up.
He said it tasted a bit tart or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
God. At No Mercy in October, Jericho beat The Rock to win the WCW title, Jericho's first world title, oddly enough. And
yeah,
Steve
we'll call
Austin...
that a world title.
What?
Yeah, I said, yeah, we'll call that a world title.
At the time, it kind of was. And Austin defeated Angle and Rob Van Dam to retain the WWF title. That's a weird three-way, dude.
Yep.
October 29th.
Commissioner Mick Foley put it together.
Good Lord. I loved his shirt.
There were two
they did the word rap with the word commissioner.
Yeah.
So weird. October 29th on Raw, Shane McMahon told his father, Vince McMahon, that a member of the WWF would jump ship to the Alliance that night. Later in the same night, Kurt Angle backstabbed the WWF by hitting Jericho, Rock, Undertaker, and Kane with steel chairs. Shield style, bro! On the following episode of SmackDown on November 1st.
More brilliant, by the way.
Yeah. Angle, who originally led the WWF wrestlers, explained that he represented what is great about America. He was a winner, and his defection came from the decision to fight along with the winning side. Sure. I mean, not getting ahead of myself here, but this was just saying, look, WCW and ECW have nothing we have to give them some of WWF's star power.
That was so stupid.
Dumb. It's not even an invasion anymore.
No, it's not an invasion when everyone's from literally within inside.
Yep. November 5th on Raw, Vince McMahon countered Kurt Angle's defection by stating that a member of Team Alliance would defect during a match at the upcoming Survivor Series. McMahon then claimed that person to defect would be Stone Cold Steve Austin, but Austin denied this. However, the Alliance doubted him. I specifically remember this episode of Raw because Steve Austin then started interrogating people, police style, in the back. And he had like a really bright light he would shine in their face and ask them questions. You remember that?
I do.
That was gold. That same night, The Rock won the WCW title from Chris Jericho. So they're just passing this thing around to WWF guys back and forth.
Yeah, it's almost like Vince Russo's doing this again.
Bro!
Everyone gets a title run, bro.
They didn't put it on a poll, so at least they had that. They should have.
I knew that was coming.
They should have squared off in a San Francisco 49ers match. That would have been great. Or not.
Did I ever tell you I was at that? And that was Russo's last ever Nitro?
God, I think you did.
Yeah.
In the archives, people. Go check it out. God.
I to this day, I completely forgot I was at that event until I watched it back. It's like, holy crap, I was there.
Well, it's like those people who go through a traumatic experience and they completely blank it from their mind. Like, oh, let me tell you some stories about Nam.
Oh, my God. Post-traumatic stress disorder, right?
Yeah. Yes. And then, like, you get reminded of it, and then all of a sudden you have, like, terrible flashbacks. And you start crying in the shower. Of all of this, by the way, led to a winner-take-all match at Survivor Series 01, which pitted Team WWF, The Rock, Chris Jericho, Undertaker and Kane, and The Big Show, of all freaking people, against Team Alliance, which was this team was just wow. Steve Austin, Kurt Angle, Booker T, Rob Van Dam, Shane McMahon. Austin, Stone Cold Stunnered The Rock and pinned him, but there was no referee to count it. Austin approached the downed referee to try to revive him. As this was occurring, Angle ran into the ring, picked up the WWF title, nailed Austin with it, revealing himself to be the defector again. So he was a plant, to which McMahon was referring to the entire time. The Rock got up to his feet, followed this with a rock bottom to pin Austin, to which the referee woke up and groggily counted the 3 count. Team WWF prevailed, thus ending the storyline. So, both of these matches that they had, one at Invasion, one here, had the same, damn near the same thing happen. First time it was Steve Austin, this time it's Kurt Angle.
Well, except, they also had a lot of unification matches that night, too.
Yes. It was also the night several titles were unified, as you said. Edge defeated Test to unify the WCW US title and the WWF Intercontinental title. The Dudleys beat the Hardys in a steel cage match to unify the WCW and WWF tag titles. The final ECW member, Jazz, made her debut during a 6-pack challenge for the vacant Women's Championship, which was won by Trish Stratus. So they debuted someone on ECW and then killed the brand.
Yeah, what do you don't get about that?
I just making sure I got this right.
I'm not seeing anything bad so far.
Good show, I guess. Not really. Did you watch this crap live?
I did.
What did you think of the Angle thing?
I don't remember my reaction at the time. I think I was happy because I wanted The Rock to win.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I was happy.
My thing is, it seems predictable. Like, looking back at it.
I mean, kind of, but at the time, I really thought it was going to be Austin.
Yeah,
I remember thinking that.
Yeah, and he kept up with this damn heel run even after that.
No, it ended the next night.
Did it? Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm getting my timeline mixed up. How did he turn face the next night?
Because Vince comes out and says he's stripping Austin of the title and giving it to Kurt Angle. And then Ric Flair debuts and said he bought Stephanie and Shane's stock when they sold it to buy WCW and ECW. And he gave Austin his title back, and they celebrated with beer. So it was kind of like a double turn. Vince, who kind of was a face throughout the invasion, turned heel. Austin turned face.
Swerve, bro! That's the final swerve of the podcast. How about that? Yeah.
You know what's just what was like made no sense to me? That the losing side, they were gone forever, bro. And every single wrestler that was on the losing side wrestled from then on. So all they really did was kill the name.
Yep.
Yeah. So kind of made no sense in the aftermath. Like, what was the point of it all?
I will say I was really hot for wrestling at this time. Some people, as I mentioned earlier, some people fell out of it because they just loved, WCW or, whatever their reasons may be. I was, what was this, 01?
Yeah.
I was 10, 11. I was really hot for wrestling at this time. I remember vividly some of this stuff. Like the one we didn't cover is where Kurt Angle kidnapped Stone Cold Steve Austin after Austin threw Angle's medals.
Oh yeah, into the river.
And he kidnapped Austin.
He went and fished him out and gave him back to him though.
Yeah.
He really did. Or apparently.
Well, Angle tied up Austin in his brand new truck, hogtied him and took off, and then blindfolded him and forced him to give him a WWF title match. And when he said yes, then he said, "You're still going in the water." And he threw him into a kiddie pool.
Yeah. What's wrong with that? I love it. It's money.
I will say this. It was funny. God, did that this whole heel run just killed Stone Cold. Like, for a while. I don't know. Obviously, it didn't kill him. He's the biggest star, besides Hulk Hogan, arguably the biggest star ever. But just that mystique of, like, the badass Stone Cold kind of pissed all over that.
Well, they could have just not did it at all.
What?
They could have just not did it at all.
Oh, no. That would have been bad, Greg. So yeah. You and I talked about, like I mentioned earlier, we'll cover the Monday Night Wars on a different podcast, but that will be a ways away. Next week, you and I are still trying to figure out what we're going to do. There's two options. I'm trying to see if I can get some special guests on the podcast, which we literally never have. I'm working on it, bro. If those come through, that'll be next week's episode, and then you and I will chat, just not as long, kind of about a certain kind of wrestling that you'll find out next week if I can make the magic happen. Stay tuned to social media. What was that?
HCW?
God, yes. But if I can't make the magic happen next week, we will discuss some non-WWE stuff, non-ECW, non-WCW. We'll if the interviews happen, we'll do certain things. But if they don't happen, and if they do happen, we'll keep that non-WWE episode in our pocket. But we just kind of gotta play it by ear, bro. So yeah, we'll try to steer away from WWF, WWE, whatever, for a little while. Sound good, bro?
As long as it's on a poll.
Poll, bro! And then here before long, next time something real big. You're the MMA expert, so whenever you can tell me that something big is coming up in UFC, we'll try to do
the
a
next big
show.
one is not going to be till July, probably.
Okay, well, we're thinking in July or close to, the next big fight. We'll try to do at least half of a show on MMA and UFC specifically. So look out for that. Good stuff. But, speaking of which, polls and whatnot on social media, I put a poll, bro, up on social media. As of the recording of this, the poll is still up and active, and it's not totally closed out yet. But I asked you, who was most likely to get shaken up in the Superstar Shakeup this week? AJ Styles, Bobby Lashley, The Miz, or other? And I asked you to comment with your answers. Most of you said
Seth
AJ
Rollins.
Styles. A good portion of you said The Miz. And Bobby came in third with 29% as of the recording of this. Nobody else voted other, so apparently those were I randomly picked the three most likely in most people's minds. So there's that.
I'm going to still say Seth Rollins, so.
I wouldn't mind that either, but I don't know. They usually try not to put the guys with the big belts on other shows.
The what?
The guys with the big belts. Oh,
the what?
God dang! I'm gonna. That's 3 kicks. Right in the groin. The groin, pal. But yeah, so there's that. We'll put up. I'll try to put more polls, bro, up on Twitter here and there.
Put it on a forklift, bro.
Hopefully you all, vote in them and try to be more interactive with all y'all. And like I said, check us out on WrestlingWithWrestling.com and DramaCityProductions.com/PWS. There you can get our latest merchandise. Click on merch or more merch. It'll take you to our merchandise stores. Thank you for joining me today, Greg.
Yeah, it was something. It was walking down crap memory lane, but
yeah, maybe not the most fond memories ever, but I will say as a child, this was fun for me watching it. So, whatever. All right, well, we'll see you next week. Later.
Later.
This has been a Drama City production.